The alien observation. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, the Zorthanian Empire had long considered itself the pinnacle of galactic civilization. For millennia, they had observed, studied, and occasionally interfered with lesser species across the cosmos. But none had fascinated them quite like the inhabitants of the small, blue planet in the unfashionable western spiral arm of the galaxy. High Overseer Xalfun peered intently at the holographic display hovering before him. His large, multifaceted eyes reflected the swirling images of Earth's civilizations, each frame capturing a moment in human history. His thin, grey fingers danced across the control panel, cycling through millennia of data collected by their most advanced probes. "Curious," he murmured, his melodic voice tinged with puzzlement. "Most curious indeed." First Analyst Vexara glided forward, her iridescent wings humming softly in the charged atmosphere of the observation deck. "What troubles you, High Overseer?" Vexalfian gestured at the display. "These humans, they confound me. Look at our history, Vexara. Centuries of conflict, warfare on a scale that would make even the Krelnar horde blush. And yet, Vexara prompted, her antennae twitching with curiosity. And yet they persist. They survive. They thrive. Xalfun expanded the display, showing the rapid technological advancements of the past 2 centuries. Look at this progression. From primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space travel in less than 100 rotations of their planet, it's unprecedented. Vexara studied the data, her compound eyes widening. But High Overseer, surely this indicates a species ripe for conquest. Their resources, their potential, they could be a valuable addition to the Empire. Xalfun chittered, a sound that might have been laughter from a human throat. "Ah, young Vexara, always so eager for expansion, but consider this." He brought up a new series of images showing peace rallies, international cooperation, and global initiatives to combat climate change and poverty. "I don't understand," Vexara admitted. "How can a species with such a violent past suddenly turn to this?" "That, my dear analyst, is the question that has consumed our research for the past 50 years, Xalfun replied. "We've observed thousands of spacefaring civilizations, but none quite like this. The humans seem to fear war, to actively work against their own violent nature. It's as if they've seen the abyss of their own destruction and collectively decided to step back from it." Vexara's antennae drooped slightly, a sign of deep thought among her kind. Could it be a ruse? A ploy to appear weak and pacifistic? Xalfun shook his head, an oddly human gesture he had picked up from years of observation. "Unlikely. Our probes are far too advanced to be fooled by such a deception. No, this appears to be a genuine cultural shift. But the question remains, how does a species with such capacity for violence suddenly become so peaceful?" He brought up another display, this one showing the current state of Earth's military forces. Despite the focus on peace, the humans maintained a formidable array of weapons and defenses. They prepare for war while preaching peace. They advance their military technology while advocating for disarmament. It's a paradox, Vexara. A beautiful, perplexing paradox. Vexara's wings fluttered nervously. "High Overseer, forgive my impertinence, but what does this mean for the Empire? Surely we cannot allow such an unpredictable species to advance unchecked." Xalfun was quiet for a long moment, his gaze fixed on the rotating image of Earth. When he spoke, his voice was filled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "It means, my dear Vexara, that we may have finally found a worthy challenge. The Council of Elders has been informed of my findings, and they have reached a decision." Vexara's antennae stood straight up in shock. "You don't mean—" "Indeed," Xalfun confirmed. "The time has come. We will initiate first contact with the humans." The announcement hung in the air, heavy with implications. Vexara found herself torn between exhilaration and fear. First contact was a rare event, undertaken only when a species was deemed sufficiently advanced and interesting to join the galactic community. But it was also fraught with danger. More than one promising civilization had reacted poorly to the revelation that they were not alone in the universe. But High Overseer Vexara ventured, given their history of violence, is it safe? What if they react negatively? Sulfuan's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. That, my dear, is precisely why this is so exciting. The humans are a study in contradictions. They possess the capacity for great violence, yet they strive for peace. They fear war, yet they prepare for it ceaselessly. They are divided into nations, yet they come together in times of global crisis. He turned to face Vexara fully, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. In all my centuries as High Overseer, I have never encountered a species quite like them. They are unpredictable, yes, but also infinitely fascinating. And who knows? Perhaps in understanding them, we might learn something about ourselves. Vexara nodded slowly, beginning to understand the High Overseer's enthusiasm. When will the contact be made? Preparations are already underway, Sulfuan replied. We will reveal ourselves gradually to minimize the shock. Subtle signs at first, then more overt manifestations. We'll gauge their reactions, adjust our approach accordingly. If all goes well, we should be ready for direct contact within one of their solar years. He turned back to the holographic display, his voice taking on a note of solemnity. Make no mistake, Vexara. This could be the most significant event in our history since the founding of the Empire. The humans, with all their contradictions and complexities, may well reshape the face of galactic civilization as we know it. As they stood there, watching the blue planet spin slowly in the holographic void, neither Sulfuan nor Vexara could have predicted just how prophetic those words would prove to be. The humans, with their paradoxical nature and unexpected strengths, were about to take their first steps onto a much larger stage, and the galaxy would never be the same again. First contact fiasco. The day Earth's skies changed color was the day humanity realized it was no longer alone in the universe. It began with a subtle shift, a faint purple tinge to the usual blue that most dismissed as an atmospheric anomaly. But as the hours passed, the hue deepened, casting an alien glow over cities and countryside alike. Social media exploded with theories, from government experiments to impending apocalypse. It wasn't until the massive Zorthanian ship decloaked in low Earth orbit that the truth became undeniable. In the White House Situation Room, President Elena Rossi stared at the screens showing live feeds from around the world. Her face, usually composed and confident, now bore the weight of a leader facing an unprecedented crisis. Madam President, General Marcus Hayes began, his voice taut with tension. We're tracking multiple smaller craft descending from the main ship. Projected landing site appears to be the National Mall. Rossi nodded, her mind racing. And our defense systems? Ineffective, ma'am, the general replied grimly. Our most advanced weaponry can't even scratch their hull. We're defenseless. The room fell silent, the gravity of the situation settling over everyone present. Not defenseless, General, Rossi said firmly, straightening her posture. We have our wits, our courage, and our humanity. Prepare for my address to the nation, and get me to the mall. If these aliens want to talk, they'll deal with Earth's leaders directly. As chaos erupted in cities worldwide, a very different scene was unfolding aboard the Zorthanian mothership. High Overseer Sulfuan paced nervously, his usual calm demeanor shattered by the unexpected turn of events. This wasn't the plan, he chittered anxiously to Vexara. We were supposed to reveal ourselves gradually, not like this. Vexara's wings hummed with agitation. The cloaking malfunction was unforeseen, High Overseer. But perhaps we can still salvage the situation. Before Sulfuan could respond, a junior analyst burst into the chamber. High Overseer, we're detecting a massive energy surge from the planet's surface. Sulfuan rushed to the observation deck, his heart's pounding. On the screens, he watched in horror as a brilliant beam of energy shot up from the Earth, striking their ship with devastating force. The entire vessel shuddered, alarms blaring throughout its vast corridors. Impossible, Solthorn gasped. Their technology shouldn't be capable of this. On Earth, in a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Samantha Chen allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. The quantum pulse cannon, a project she had dedicated her life to in secret, had just changed the course of human history. It worked, she breathed, turning to her team of engineers and scientists. Now let's pray it's enough to keep us alive. Back in Washington, President Rossi stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, surrounded by a hastily assembled group of world leaders. The alien craft, sleek and otherworldly, had just touched down on the mall, steam hissing from its hull. As the craft's doors opened with a hydraulic hiss, Rossi steeled herself. This was the moment that would define not just her presidency, but the future of humanity itself. The first alien to emerge was unmistakably Solthorn, though of course Rossi didn't know his name or rank. His insectoid appearance, so alien and yet somehow noble, caused a ripple of murmurs through the assembled crowd. Solthorn, for his part, was equally taken aback by the humans. Their soft, furless bodies and flat faces were unlike anything in Zorthanian experience. He stepped forward, activating the universal translator embedded in his exoskeleton. "People of Earth," his voice rang out, a strange blend of chittering and synthesized speech. "We come in peace. I am High Overseer Solthorn of the Zorthanian Empire. We have been observing your world for many of your years, and we believe the time has come for our civilizations to meet." President Rossi stepped forward, her voice steady despite the surreal situation. "I am President Elena Rossi of the United States, speaking on behalf of Earth. We welcome you, High Overseer, though I must say your arrival was unexpected." Solthorn's mandibles clicked in what might have been embarrassment. "Yes, well, there was a slight malfunction in our cloaking technology. We had intended a more gradual revelation." "I see," Rossi replied, a hint of steel entering her voice. "And the purpose of this cloaking? To observe us without our knowledge." The alien shifted uncomfortably. "We meant no offense. It is standard procedure when studying pre-contact civilizations. He was cut off by a commotion in the crowd. A man had broken through the security cordon, his face contorted with fear and anger. "They're here to invade," he shouted, brandishing a pistol. "We have to strike first." Everything happened in a blur. Security personnel rushed forward. Solthorn's guards raised their weapons, and in the chaos, a shot rang out. The bullet, a simple piece of lead and copper, would never have penetrated Zorthanian battle armor. But Solthorn wasn't wearing battle armor. He was wearing the ceremonial robes of a diplomatic envoy. Green ichor sprayed from the High Overseer's shoulder as he stumbled back, more shocked than hurt. His guards, however, saw only a threat to their leader. Energy weapons hummed to life, targeting the humans. President Rossi, acting on pure instinct, threw herself in front of Solthorn. "Stop," she shouted, her voice cutting through the pandemonium. "Everyone, stand down." For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Humans and aliens alike froze, weapons half-raised, teetering on the brink of catastrophe. It was Vexara who broke the stalemate. She rushed to Solthorn's side, assessing his injury. "He needs medical attention," she announced, her translator struggling to convey the urgency in her voice. Rossi nodded, her mind racing. "Our best doctors will attend to him immediately. Please, let us help." Solthorn, despite the pain, recognized the olive branch for what it was. "Very well," he chittered weakly. "But this changes things, President Rossi. The Council of Elders will need to be informed." As medical teams from both species converged on the scene, Rossi felt the weight of the moment. What should have been a historic meeting of civilizations had descended into chaos in a matter of minutes. The fragile peace they had hoped to build was already cracking at the foundations. Yet as she watched humans and aliens working together to tend to the wounded overseer, A flicker of hope kindled in her chest. Perhaps, just perhaps, this disaster could be turned into an opportunity. After all, humanity had always been at its best when facing impossible odds. As the aliens retreated to their ship and Earth's leaders huddled in emergency sessions, one thing became clear. The next few days would determine not just the fate of humanity, but the future of galactic civilization itself. And humanity, with all its flaws and strengths, its capacity for both violence and compassion, was about to show the universe what it was truly capable of. The human response. The world held its breath in the days following the disastrous first contact. As High Overseer Salfuan recovered in a specially prepared medical facility, leaders from every nation convened in an emergency United Nations session. The General Assembly Hall buzzed with tension, fear, and an undercurrent of excitement. President Elena Rossi stood at the podium, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Fellow leaders, citizens of Earth, we stand at a crossroads. The arrival of the Zorthanians has changed everything. We are no longer alone in the universe, but our first meeting was marred by violence and misunderstanding. Now, we must decide how to move forward. In orbit, aboard the Zorthanian mothership, a similar discussion was taking place. Vexara, now acting as interim leader, faced a screen filled with the stern faces of the Council of Elders. The situation is precarious. Elder Kuthax's voice crackled through the communication system. If the humans are capable of developing weapons that can harm our ships, they are more dangerous than we anticipated. Perhaps it is time to consider more forceful options. Vexara's antennae quivered with concern. Respected elders, I urge caution. Yes, the humans have surprised us, but they've also shown compassion. Their leader risked her life to protect the High Overseer. Surely that counts for something. Back on Earth, in the depths of the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Samantha Chen worked feverishly. The quantum pulse cannon had been effective, but it was only the beginning. We need to be prepared for any eventuality, she muttered to her team. If they decide to attack, we need more than one ace up our sleeve. As scientists and engineers around the world pooled their knowledge, working on defense systems and potential weapons, a different kind of preparation was taking place in diplomatic circles. Ambassador Yuki Tanaka of Japan addressed the UN Security Council, her voice calm but intense. We must approach this situation with wisdom and foresight, she urged. Yes, we must be prepared to defend ourselves, but we must also extend a hand of friendship. The Zorthanians have technology far beyond our own. Imagine what we could learn from peaceful cooperation. In Washington, D.C., a secret meeting was taking place in the Oval Office. President Rossi sat across from a man known to only a handful of people, Dr. Alan Turing II, great-grandson of the famous mathematician and head of a clandestine AI research program. Madam President, Turing began, his eyes alight with excitement. I believe we have a unique opportunity here. Our quantum AI system, GAIA, has been analyzing all available data on the Zorthanians. It's come up with some interesting suggestions. Rossi leaned forward, intrigued. Go on, Doctor. Turing tapped on his tablet, bringing up a holographic display. Gaia suggests that the Zorthanians, despite their advanced technology, have a blind spot. They're so focused on physical sciences that they've neglected certain areas of development, particularly in the realms of psychology, sociology, and, well, for lack of a better term, cultural intelligence. And how does that help us? Rossi asked, her brow furrowed. Turing smiled. It means, Madam President, that we might be able to outmaneuver them not through force, but through understanding. GAIA has outlined a strategy that could turn this potential conflict into the greatest diplomatic coup in human history. As these discussions and preparations were taking place, ordinary citizens around the world reacted in myriad ways. In New York, thousands gathered in Times Square, holding up signs that read "Welcome, Alien Friends," and "One Universe, One People." In Beijing, scientists and engineers worked around the clock, reverse engineering fragments of Zorthanian technology recovered from the damaged mothership. In Rio de Janeiro, a group of artists created a massive mural depicting humans and Zorthanians standing together under a starry sky. But not all reactions were positive. In some areas, fear and xenophobia took hold. Anti-alien protests erupted in several cities, with some extremist groups calling for immediate military action against the invaders. It was against this backdrop of hope, fear, and feverish activity that High Overseer Zalfun finally emerged from medical care. To the surprise of many, he requested a private meeting with President Rossi. In a secure room, under the watchful eyes of security personnel from both species, Zalfun and Rossi sat face to face. President Rossi, Zalfun began, his voice still weak but determined. I must commend you on the bravery you showed during the incident. It has given me much to think about. Rossi nodded, her expression guarded. Thank you, High Overseer. I hope it has shown you that despite our capacity for violence, we are also capable of great compassion. Zalfun's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Indeed, but I must be frank with you. The Council of Elders is concerned. The weapon you used against our ship was far beyond what we believe your civilization capable of. Some are calling for preemptive action. Rossi's heart raced, but she kept her voice steady. I understand their concern, High Overseer, but surely you must see that such action would be a grave mistake. We have much to offer each other. Why squander this opportunity for mutual growth and understanding? As they talked, delving into the complexities of their respective civilizations, neither was aware of the technological marvel taking place miles below the surface. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Chen and her team had made a breakthrough. By combining human ingenuity with fragments of Zorthanian tech, they had created something unprecedented, a device capable of generating a localized field that could disrupt Zorthanian energy weapons. And in the digital realm, GAIA was processing data at an astounding rate, crafting a diplomatic strategy of breathtaking complexity. It took into account not just the current situation, but centuries of human history and everything known about Zorthanian culture. As the day wore on, a plan began to take shape. It was audacious, perhaps even foolhardy, but it offered a path forward that didn't end in interstellar war. Humanity would reveal some, but not all of its technological advancements. They would demonstrate their capacity for both self-defense and peaceful cooperation. And most importantly, they would show the Zorthanians something they had never seen before, a species that understood its own violent nature and actively worked to transcend it. President Rossi, armed with insights from GAIA and bolstered by reports of technological breakthroughs, made her proposal to Zalfun. High Overseer, she said, her voice filled with conviction, let us turn this potential conflict into an opportunity. We propose a cultural exchange program, a sharing of knowledge and technology under carefully negotiated terms. Let us show you and the Council of Elders that humanity is ready to join the galactic community not as a threat, but as a valuable ally. Zalfun listened, his alien features unreadable to human eyes. But as Rossi outlined the proposal, something shifted in his demeanor. President Rossi, he said finally, you continue to surprise me. This proposal, it is not what I expected. It will need to be carefully considered, of course, but I believe it has merit. As the meeting concluded and preparations began for Zalfun's return to his ship, a sense of cautious optimism began to spread. Humanity had faced its first extraterrestrial challenge not with blind aggression or meek submission, but with a uniquely human blend of innovation, diplomacy, and hope. The road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but in those tense days following first contact, humanity had shown not just the galaxy, but itself what it was truly capable of. The paradox of a species that feared war yet prepared for it ceaselessly had become a strength rather than a weakness. And as news of the potential cultural exchange spread, people around the world dared to dream of a future among the stars. Little did they know that this was just the beginning. The true test of humanity's resolve and the full extent of its unexpected strengths was yet to come. The galactic stage. The news of humanity's unexpected response to first contact spread through the galaxy like wildfire. In the Great Galactic Council chambers on the neutral world of Xanadu Prime, representatives from 100 different species debated the implications of this new player on the cosmic stage. Ambassador Zyklon of the Andromedans, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, addressed the assembly. Esteemed colleagues, we cannot ignore the potential threat these humans pose. A species capable of damaging a Zorthanian ship, yet choosing diplomacy over war, it's unprecedented. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber, but not everyone was convinced of humanity's peaceful intentions. General Kraz of the militant Volcrine Imperium growled, his razor-sharp teeth glinting in the chamber's soft light. Bah, it's obviously a ploy. They show a hint of strength, then hide behind words of peace. I say we crush them now, before they become a real threat. As the debate raged, a small, unassuming figure made its way to the central podium. Grand Arbiter Ilona of the ancient Turva Collective raised a delicate tendril for silence. My friends, Ilona's melodious voice echoed through the chamber. Perhaps we are asking the wrong questions. Instead of debating whether to fear these humans or dismiss them, should we not be asking what we might learn from them? Back on Earth, blissfully unaware of the galactic politics swirling around them, humanity continued its preparations for the cultural exchange program. In a sprawling complex hastily constructed on the outskirts of Geneva, scientists, diplomats, and cultural experts from around the world gathered to meet their Zorthanian counterparts. Dr. Samantha Chen stood before a group of wide-eyed Zorthanian scientists, explaining the principles behind the quantum pulse cannon. The key, she said, pointing to a holographic diagram, was in harnessing the quantum entanglement of particles across dimensional barriers. The Zorthanians chittered excitedly among themselves. One of them, a young researcher named Vexila, stepped forward. But this contradicts everything we thought we knew about quantum mechanics. Chen smiled. Sometimes, the greatest breakthroughs come from challenging our assumptions. Meanwhile, in a different part of the complex, a group of human artists and musicians were introducing the Zorthanians to Earth's cultural riches. The aliens were particularly fascinated by music, their antennae vibrating in harmony with the complex rhythms of a jazz ensemble. But not everyone on Earth was thrilled with the exchange program. In the United States, Senator William Blackwood addressed a crowd of protesters outside the Capitol. "We're handing over our secrets to these aliens," he shouted, his face red with anger. "They'll use our own technology against us." Unbeknownst to the humans, similar debates were happening aboard the Zorthanian mothership. Subcommander Zexatra argued vehemently with Vexara. "We cannot trust these humans. Their technology is advancing too quickly. If we don't act now, we may lose our advantage." Vexara's wings buzzed with frustration. "And what would you have us do? Start an interstellar war? The humans have shown nothing but goodwill since the unfortunate incident at first contact." As tensions simmered on both sides, President Rossi received an urgent message from Dr. Alan Turing, IA. Madam President, Turing's holographic image flickered to life in the Oval Office. JLIA has detected something alarming. It seems we're not the only ones interested in Earth. Rossi leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "Explain, Doctor." Turing's image was replaced by a star map. "We've detected anomalous energy signatures in the outer reaches of our solar system. GAIA believes they're consistent with cloaked ships, and they're not Zorthanian." The implications were staggering. Earth wasn't just dealing with one alien civilization, but potentially several. The stakes had just gotten much, much higher. In the depths of space, aboard a sleek vessel hidden from both human and Zorthanian sensors, a pair of glowing eyes watched the unfolding events with keen interest. Fleet Commander Xarkon of the Draskir Dominions smiled, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. "How fascinating," he purred, his voice a silky whisper. These humans are full of surprises. Perhaps they will be useful to us after all. Back in the Galactic Council chambers, the debate had reached a fever pitch. Accusations flew back and forth, alliances shifted, and more than one representative stormed out in protest. It was Grand Arbiter Elona who once again brought order to the chaos. Esteemed colleagues, the Turfer's voice cut through the din. I propose a solution. Let us send a delegation to Earth, not to threaten or to judge, but to observe and to learn. If these humans are indeed as remarkable as they seem, would it not be in all our interests to extend a hand of friendship? The proposal was met with a mixture of skepticism and cautious approval. Eventually, after hours of negotiation, a decision was reached. A galactic delegation would be sent to Earth, comprising representatives from a dozen different species. As preparations for this unprecedented visit began, humanity remained unaware of the cosmic currents swirling around their little blue planet. But they were about to be thrust onto a stage far larger than they had ever imagined. In Geneva, as the cultural exchange program entered its second week, High Overseer Xalfun approached President Rossi with an unusually serious demeanor. "President Rossi," he began, his mandibles clicking nervously, "there's something you need to know. Your world, it's about to become the focus of galactic attention." Rossi's eyes widened. "What do you mean, High Overseer?" Xalfun's compound eyes seemed to shimmer with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "A delegation from the Galactic Council is on its way to Earth. Representatives from the most powerful civilizations in the known universe will be arriving within days." As Rossi absorbed this earth-shattering news, alarms began blaring throughout the complex. Dr. Chen burst into the room, her face pale. "Madam President, High Overseer, you need to see this." They rushed to the control center, where a holographic display showed a terrifying sight. A massive fleet of unknown ships had just appeared at the edge of the solar system, their designs unlike anything seen before. In that moment, as fear and uncertainty gripped everyone present, a strange calm settled over President Rossi. She turned to Xalfun, her eyes blazing with determination. "High Overseer," she said, her voice steady, "it seems the universe has decided to test us sooner than we expected. What do you say we show them what our species can do when we work together?" Xalfun's alien features shifted into what might have been a smile. "President Rossi, I believe that is an excellent idea." As the unknown fleet approached and news of the impending galactic delegation spread, Earth stood on the precipice of a new era. The true test of humanity's resolve, ingenuity, and unexpected strength was about to begin, and the fate of not just Earth, but perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The battle that never was. The skies above Earth churned with activity. The mysterious fleet loomed at the edge of the solar system, a dark cloud of potential devastation. Meanwhile, ships from the Galactic Council delegation began to arrive, their varied and exotic designs a testament to the diversity of life in the universe. In the hastily assembled United Earth Defense Command Center, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Elena Rossi stood shoulder to shoulder with High Overseer Xalfun. The chamber buzzed with a mixture of human and Zorthanian personnel, all working in a frantic harmony that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. "Status report," Rossi barked, her eyes fixed on the massive holographic display dominating the center of the room. General Marcus Hayes stepped forward, his face grim. "Madam President, the unknown fleet has accelerated. At their current speed, they'll reach Earth orbit in less than 6 hours. The Galactic Council delegation will arrive in 3. Xalfun's antennae quivered with concern. "This is unprecedented. No species would dare to threaten a world under evaluation by the Council." Dr. Samantha Chen, who had been poring over data streams with a team of human and Zorthanian scientists, suddenly straightened. "Madam President, High Overseer, I think we've identified the unknown fleet. They're Drazka." A collective gasp went through the room. Even Rossi, new as she was to galactic politics, had heard of the Drazkio Dominion. They were notorious expansionists, with a reputation for subjugating or destroying any civilization they deemed inferior. But why now? Thorfinn chittered anxiously. Why risk the wrath of the entire Galactic Council? It was Dr. Alan Turing IOI who provided the answer, his holographic form flickering to life in the center of the room. "It's us," he said, his voice tinged with a mixture of pride and worry. GAIA has analyzed their approach vector and energy signatures. They're not here to destroy Earth. They're here to capture it. Rossi's eyes narrowed. Capture? Why? Our technology, Chen replied, realization dawning on her face. The quantum pulse cannon, our advancements in AI, our unique approach to problem solving, we're not just a threat to them, we're a resource. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth, so recently thrust onto the galactic stage, was now the prize in a cosmic power play. Rossi squared her shoulders, her voice cutting through the tension. Options, people, I need options. For the next hour, the combined human and Zorfanian think tank worked feverishly. Ideas were proposed and discarded rapid fire. Traditional military options were quickly ruled out. Even with Zorfanian assistance, Earth's defenses were no match for the Drasakia fleet. As the deadline loomed ever closer, it was a young human lieutenant who spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. What if we give them what they want? All eyes turned to her. She swallowed hard but continued. Not really, of course, but what if we could make them think they've won when actually... Her words trailed off, but they had sparked something in Dr. Chen's eyes. A deception, she breathed. Not just technological, but psychological. Over the next 2 hours, a plan took shape. It was audacious, relying as much on humanity's capacity for theater as on its technological prowess. GAIA's processing power was pushed to its limits, coordinating 1,000 moving pieces. As the Galactic Council delegation entered Earth's orbit, they were greeted by a startling sight. The planet below them seemed to be in the throes of a massive conflict. Energy beams crisscrossed the skies, explosions bloomed in the atmosphere, and the chatter of panicked communications filled every frequency. Aboard the lead council ship, Grand Arbiter Ilona watched in horror. "We're too late," she whispered. "The Draskar have already begun their assault." But it was all an illusion. The explosions were harmless light shows, the energy beams carefully calibrated to look devastating, while causing no actual damage. The panicked communications were an artfully crafted fiction, broadcast by GAIA and performed by a global cast of voice actors. As the Drasakia fleet arrived, they too were taken in by the deception. Fleet Commander Xarkon smiled triumphantly as he watched the apparent devastation below. "Excellent," he purred. "The humans are even more formidable than we thought. Their defenses are impressive, but clearly no match for our might. Prepare boarding parties. I want their technology intact." But as the first Draskar ships entered the atmosphere, they encountered something unexpected. A shimmering field of energy enveloped them, not destroying their ships, but completely neutralizing their weapons and propulsion systems. They hung in the air, impotent and confused. In the Defense Command Center, Dr. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The localized disruption field, born from the marriage of human innovation and Zorfanian tech, had worked perfectly. Aboard his flagship, Tharkon snarled in frustration. "What is the meaning of this? How dare they?" His words were cut short as every screen on his ship suddenly flickered to life. The face that appeared was human, but it spoke with the collective voice of humanity and its newfound allies. "Greetings, Fleet Commander," President Rossi's image said, her voice calm but steely. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. We are not your enemies, nor are we your prey. We are simply the newest members of a galactic community that you seem to have forgotten how to respect." As Rossi spoke, the illusory battle faded away, revealing a planet untouched by conflict. In orbit, the ships of the Galactic Council delegation decloaked, their weapons trained on the Drasakia fleet. "Now," Rossi continued, I believe we have some things to discuss. Representatives from the Galactic Council are here to oversee our inclusion into the galactic community. I propose we all sit down and have a conversation about the future. A future where conflict is not our first resort, but our last. In the stunned silence that followed, Grand Arbiter Ilona's voice chimed in. I second that proposal, President Rossi. Perhaps we all have something to learn here today. As the Drassica ships hung impotently in the sky and the council delegation prepared to make planetfall, a ripple of amazement spread through the watching galaxy. Humanity, it seemed, had passed its first cosmic test, not with overwhelming force, but with an ingenious blend of technology, psychology, and an unexpectedly enlightened approach to conflict resolution. In the Defense Command Center, Rossi turned to Tsalthorn, a weary but satisfied smile on her face. Well, High Overseer, it seems your initial assessment of humanity wasn't entirely off the mark. We do fear war. Tsalthorn's mandibles clicked in what might have been a chuckle. Indeed, President Rossi, but I think we've all learned that fear can be a strength when it drives us to find better solutions. As the first shuttles from the Council ships began their descent, humanity stood ready to take its place on the galactic stage. The battle that never was had opened the door to a future filled with possibilities beyond imagining. A new understanding. The weeks following the averted Draskir invasion were a whirlwind of activity. Earth had become the focal point of galactic attention, with delegations from dozens of alien civilizations arriving daily. The Geneva complex, initially built for the Zorthanian exchange program, had been hastily expanded to accommodate the influx of extraterrestrial visitors. In a grand hall adorned with flags and symbols from 100 worlds, President Elena Rossi stood before the assembled galactic representatives. Her voice, translated into myriad alien languages, rang out clear and confident. Distinguished delegates, honored guests, fellow sentients, we stand at a crossroads not just for humanity, but for all our civilizations. The events of the past month have shown us that the old ways of thinking, of conflict, conquest, and fear of the unknown, are no longer sufficient. Together, we have an opportunity to forge a new path. As Rossi spoke, screens around the hall displayed images from the recent crisis. The illusory battle that fooled both allies and potential conquerors, the non-violent neutralization of the Draskir fleet, the moment of revelation when deception gave way to diplomacy. In the audience, Fleet Commander Xarkon of the Draskir shifted uncomfortably. His presence here was a testament to the changing galactic winds. Rather than facing punishment for his attempted invasion, he and his people had been invited to participate in the discussions about the future. It was a level of magnanimity he was still struggling to comprehend. Grand Arbiter Ilona of the Tova Collective nodded approvingly as Rossi continued. The humans had exceeded all expectations, showcasing a blend of innovation, compassion, and foresight that was rare in the galaxy. Our strength, Rossi declared, lies not in our weapons or our technology, but in our diversity, our creativity, and our capacity for growth. Humanity feared war not out of weakness, but because we understood its true cost, and in that understanding, we found the will to seek better solutions. As she spoke, Dr. Samantha Chen and her team were already hard at work, collaborating with scientists from a dozen alien races. The quantum pulse cannon technology was being adapted for peaceful purposes. Its principles applied to everything from faster-than-light communication to revolutionary clean energy systems. In another part of the complex, Dr. Alan Turing II was engaged in a fascinating dialogue with AI specialists from across the galaxy. GAI's unique approach to problem-solving, blending logic with intuition in a way that mimicked human thought processes, was opening up new frontiers in artificial intelligence research. But perhaps the most profound changes were happening on a cultural level. Artists, musicians, philosophers, and ordinary citizens from Earth and 100 alien worlds were engaged in a grand exchange of ideas. New forms of music blended human rhythms with alien harmonies. Galleries showcased artwork that transcended species boundaries. In universities and public forums, Age-old questions of existence were being explored from entirely new perspectives. High Overseer Talthuan, standing beside President Rossi, marveled at the transformations taking place. "When we first observed your world," he admitted, "we thought we understood you. We saw your conflicts, your divisions, and assumed you were like so many other young species we had encountered. How wrong we were." Rossi smiled. "Perhaps that's humanity's greatest strength, High Overseer. We are endlessly adaptable, constantly evolving. Our history is filled with darkness, yes, but also with light, and we never stop striving to be better than we are." As the conference progressed, concrete steps were taken to integrate Earth into the galactic community. Trade agreements were signed, cultural exchange programs were established, and plans were laid for humanity's first extrasolar colonies. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Back on Earth, debates raged about the pace of change. Some feared losing human identity in the vast galactic melting pot. Others worried about the economic and social impacts of advanced alien technologies. Senator William Blackwood, once a vocal opponent of alien cooperation, found himself in a heated debate with a Zorthanian diplomat on live global television. But as the discussion progressed, something remarkable happened. The two found common ground, their exchange becoming less an argument and more a collaborative exploration of concerns and potential solutions. In orbit, work began on Earth's first true spaceport, a joint project involving human engineers working alongside teams from a dozen alien races. The structure would serve as both a symbol of Earth's new status and a practical hub for interstellar travel and commerce. As the month-long conference drew to a close, President Rossi stood once again before the assembled delegates. This time, she was joined by representatives from every nation on Earth, a united human front facing the galaxy. "We have taken the first steps on a long journey," she said. "There will be challenges ahead, misunderstandings to overcome, new crises to face. But we face them not alone, but as part of a greater galactic family." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the diverse assembly. "Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to come together in times of need, to find inspiration in our differences rather than fear. Now, we extend that strength to all of you. Let us move forward not as conquerors or competitors, but as collaborators in the greatest adventure our species has ever known." As applause filled the hall, a palpable sense of hope and excitement spread through the assembled delegates. Even the stoic Draskar found themselves caught up in the moment, their usual disdain for lesser species giving way to a reluctant admiration. In the years that followed, humanity's influence spread throughout the galaxy, not through force or conquest, but through ideas and innovation. The paradox that had once puzzled alien observers, a species that feared war yet constantly prepared for it, became recognized as a source of unique insight and strength. Earth became a hub of galactic culture and innovation, a place where the best minds from 1,000 worlds came together to tackle the universe's greatest challenges. And as humanity took its place among the stars, it carried with it the lessons of its own turbulent history. That true strength lies not in domination, but in cooperation, not in fear, but in understanding. The story of humanity's entrance onto the galactic stage would be told and retold across countless worlds, a testament to the unexpected strength found in peace and the power of a species that dared to imagine a better way. As Earth's first ambassadors set out for distant stars, they carried with them a message that would resonate across the cosmos. In diversity, there is strength. In understanding, there is growth. And in the vast tapestry of galactic civilization, humanity had found not just a place, but a purpose. The paradox of peace had become the catalyst for a new era of galactic cooperation, with humanity leading the way into a future bright with possibilities. A new understanding. The weeks following the averted Draskar invasion were a whirlwind of activity. Earth had become the focal point of galactic attention, with delegations from dozens of alien civilizations arriving daily. The Geneva complex, initially built for the Zorthanian exchange program, had been hastily expanded to accommodate the influx of extraterrestrial visitors. In a grand hall adorned with flags and symbols from 100 worlds, President Elena Rossi stood before the assembled galactic representatives. Her voice, translated into myriad alien languages, rang out clear and confident. Distinguished delegates, honored guests, fellow sentients, we stand at a crossroads not just for humanity, but for all our civilizations. The events of the past month have shown us that the old ways of thinking, of conflict, conquest, and fear of the unknown, are no longer sufficient. Together, we have an opportunity to forge a new path. As Rossi spoke, screens around the hall displayed images from the recent crisis. The illusory battle that fooled both allies and potential conquerors, the non-violent neutralization of the Drazkia fleet, the moment of revelation when deception gave way to diplomacy. In the audience, Fleet Commander Xar Khan of the Drazkia shifted uncomfortably. His presence here was a testament to the changing galactic winds. Rather than facing punishment for his attempted invasion, he and his people had been invited to participate in the discussions about the future. It was a level of magnanimity he was still struggling to comprehend. Grand Arbiter Ilona of the Turva Collective nodded approvingly as Rossi continued. The humans had exceeded all expectations, showcasing a blend of innovation, compassion, and foresight that was rare in the galaxy. Our strength, Rossi declared, lies not in our weapons or our technology, but in our diversity, our creativity, and our capacity for growth. Humanity feared war not out of weakness, but because we understood its true cost, and in that understanding, we found the will to seek better solutions. As she spoke, Dr. Samantha Chen and her team were already hard at work, collaborating with scientists from a dozen alien races. The quantum pulse cannon technology was being adapted for peaceful purposes. Its principles apply to everything from faster-than-light communication to revolutionary clean energy systems. In another part of the complex, Dr. Alan Turing II was engaged in a fascinating dialogue with AI specialists from across the galaxy. GLI's unique approach to problem-solving, blending logic with intuition in a way that mimicked human thought processes, was opening up new frontiers in artificial intelligence research. But perhaps the most profound changes were happening on a cultural level. Artists, musicians, philosophers, and ordinary citizens from Earth and 100 alien worlds were engaged in a grand exchange of ideas. New forms of music blended human rhythms with alien harmonies. Galleries showcased artwork that transcended species boundaries. In universities and public forums, age-old questions of existence were being explored from entirely new perspectives. High Overseer Salfuan, standing beside President Rossi, marveled at the transformations taking place. "When we first observed your world," he admitted, "we thought we understood you. We saw your conflicts, your divisions, and assumed you were like so many other young species we had encountered. How wrong we were." Rossi smiled. "Perhaps that's humanity's greatest strength, High Overseer. We are endlessly adaptable, constantly evolving. Our history is filled with darkness, yes, but also with light, and we never stop striving to be better than we are." As the conference progressed, concrete steps were taken to integrate Earth into the galactic community. Trade agreements were signed, cultural exchange programs were established, and plans were laid for humanity's first extrasolar colonies. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Back on Earth, debates raged about the pace of change. Some feared losing human identity in the vast galactic melting pot. Others worried about the economic and social impacts of advanced alien technologies. Senator William Blackwood, once a vocal opponent of alien cooperation, found himself in a heated debate with a Zorthanian diplomat on live global television. But as the discussion progressed, something remarkable happened. The two found common ground, their exchange becoming less an argument and more a collaborative exploration of concerns and potential solutions. In orbit, work began on Earth's first true spaceport, a joint project involving human engineers working alongside teams from a dozen alien races. The structure would serve as both a symbol of Earth's new status and a practical hub for interstellar travel and commerce. As the month-long conference drew to a close, President Rossi stood once again before the assembled delegates. This time, she was joined by representatives from every nation on Earth, a united human front facing the galaxy. "We have taken the first steps on a long journey," she said. "There will be challenges ahead, misunderstandings to overcome, new crises to face. But we face them not alone, but as part of a greater galactic family." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the diverse assembly. "Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to come together in times of need, to find inspiration in our differences rather than fear. Now, we extend that strength to all of you. Let us move forward not as conquerors or competitors, but as collaborators in the greatest adventure our species has ever known." As applause filled the hall, a palpable sense of hope and excitement spread through the assembled delegates. Even the stoic Draskar found themselves caught up in the moment, their usual disdain for lesser species giving way to a reluctant admiration. In the years that followed, humanity's influence spread throughout the galaxy, not through force or conquest, but through ideas and innovation. The paradox that had once puzzled alien observers, a species that feared war yet constantly prepared for it, became recognized as a source of unique insight and strength. Earth became a hub of galactic culture and innovation, a place where the best minds from 1,000 worlds came together to tackle the universe's greatest challenges. And as humanity took its place among the stars, it carried with it the lessons of its own turbulent history. That true strength lies not in domination, but in cooperation, not in fear, but in understanding. The story of humanity's entrance onto the galactic stage would be told and retold across countless worlds, a testament to the unexpected strength found in peace and the power of a species that dared to imagine a better way. As Earth's first ambassadors set out for distant stars, they carried with them a message that would resonate across the cosmos. In diversity, there is strength. In understanding, there is growth. And in the vast tapestry of galactic civilization, humanity have found not just a place, but a purpose. The paradox of peace had become the catalyst for a new era of galactic cooperation, with humanity leading the way into a future bright with possibilities.